Hey, good afternoon, everyone. This is Austin and Johnny from YinzersView talking everything in Yin Sports today. It is March 2nd, Big Ben's birthday. Happy birthday, Big Ben. Today, we're just going to be talking about strictly Steelers. Johnny had a few things he wanted to go over today. I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to you now.
Happy birthday, Ben. But should the Steelers draft yet another quarterback with Ben's career coming closer to the end? Or do you think that the quarterbacks that we have now have they could get better and we don't need to use a third round pick on a quarterback or whatever pick on a quarterback?
Yeah, gotcha. So with the current quarterback situation, I'm honestly not really a fan. So I love Duck Hodges, love everything about him. It's just he is what he is. He's an undrafted free agent. Did a lot better than what he should have done, but at the end of the day, he's third stringer at max. With Mason Rudolph, I don't see him ever moving forward from being a second string. He did good as a second string, came off the bench when he wasn't expected to play, got some wins there, but I did a mock draft. We'll get more into that at the end of the podcast. And I actually have the Steelers taking Jalen Hurts with their third round pick. So I definitely do have them taking a quarterback.
Yeah. I think that we have a decent group of guys to where we could wait on a quarterback. Like if it was up to me, which I mean, I don't know anything about Jalen Hurts or nothing, but I think that our quarterbacks are still super young. They were both rookies. Well, not both rookies, but they're both year ever playing for real. So I think that there's room for improvement, and I think Mason Rudolph has raw talent. I think his raw talent is almost on par with Josh Allen, and like with his throwing capabilities. And I feel like he's salvageable. But if Jalen Hurts is really good, like you think he is and stuff, then yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I mean the Steelers do really like Mason Rudolph. They had a first round grade on him 2 years ago in the draft combine, so they were really high on him. And I think that they do really want him to be a part of their system, try and grow him more. Which I mean, if they can and he can improve off of that, I'm all for it. But from what I've seen Jalen Hurts in college, I'm a big college guy. I'm in love with Jalen Hurts, so that's my guy.
Yeah, that makes sense if you think that he's going to be really spectacular. But if I'm predicting, I don't think the Steelers do because, I think the whole Myles Garrett thing really is making the Steelers rally behind Mason Rudolph more than anything because, that's just straight up trying to ruin his character, and they don't think he deserves that, even if he didn't play great at all times. But I think for coming into a year where he didn't expect to play a single game and then being basically the starter at week 3 or 4, whatever it was, I don't think he did absolutely terrible. For being a third round quarterback and everything, I think that he's very salvageable. And by the time that Ben retires, if he lives out his contract like he wants to, I think that he could be very capable by then.
Yeah, and Mason Rudolph did just have surgery to repair his throwing arm, so who knows what kind of injuries he had lying there. So maybe he'll come back as a better Mason Rudolph than what we've seen before, if it's entirely possible. So who knows?
Yeah, if his play's anything like his haircut, he needs a new haircut. All right. So speaking of Ben and how many years he has left, how long do you think he has? Do you think that he just plays out the rest of his contract, which I believe will be this season and next season? Do you think he plays longer? What do you think?
Well, according to Kevin Colbert at the Combine, talking about Ben coming off of this injured season, he's saying we could see the best Ben we've seen in a long time, saying that he hasn't taken any damage this year after the surgery. He's just been kind of resting his body. So if we truly do see a better Ben this year, I could see him definitely playing a year or two after his contract if he wants to. It all just depends because he does have a couple kids, might want to just retire and be a family. So it all depends.
I think if we don't win with Ben in these next 2 years, get a super good chance, go to a championship game or go to the Super Bowl, whatever. If we are almost there, but don't quite get there and he plays well, I think he'll play to try and go for a Super Bowl. I could see him not taking insane money like he has now and just trying to win, take a bigger hit. And so we can sign some free agents or something and then just try and win one last time. I could see that.
Yeah, and I mean, he's already made the money.
Yeah, that's what I mean. What's taking just 10 million less? You know what I mean? To use that money to try and win one last time. It would be really cool if you would do that, but we might win before then. I think if we win the Super Bowl, he's done. Period.
Yeah, if we win the Super Bowl this year or next year, Ben's going off on the high road. So that's also a possibility.
I think if we had win this year, he might still finish out his contract just because for some reason that's like super big deal to him, like finish the agreed upon contract. So if we'd win this year, I think he would play next year too, just because he seems to take that super seriously. But yeah, if we win, I think all bets are off. He's done.
Regardless of what happens, I really hope that these next 2 years he really does take Mason Rudolph under his wing, trying to show him the ropes a little bit more. But
like I said, I think everybody is on the same page within the Steelers and
mm-hmm.
elsewhere that Mason Rudolph has just been under attack. And I feel like that makes them like him more. Like they want him to like succeed kind of to where like, okay, he's just the second string quarterback to like now like, okay, like he became more of a focal point with all that nonsense.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right. So we have an interesting tight end situation with both Vance and Nick Vannett needing to be re-signed. And there's a couple decent tight ends, and we just drafted Zach Gentry. So after just drafting him, what do you think we're going to do tight end wise when it comes to re-signing Vance, Vannett, or maybe even drafting a tight end?
Yeah, so Zach Gentry isn't going to be the answer for like a long-term tight end. He's more of like a special teams / blocking on like heavy personnel runs. So he'll forever be a third string, possibly a second string if he can get his hands under control. As far as Nick Vannett and
Vance McDonald.
Vance McDonald, thank you. As far as the two of them go, Vance, I have a love-hate relationship with him. When he's healthy, he's good, but he's also dropped a bunch of balls that he shouldn't drop. So his hands have always been an issue there. So, and staying healthy has also been an issue. In my opinion, drop Vance, get some money back from him, keep Nick Vannett, see what we can do with him, possibly draft another tight end in the draft, see what happens there. But let Nick Vannett kind of take the starting role from here on out.
I like Nick Vannett a lot too. I liked whenever we made that trade. And I think he liked it too. Where the hell did he come from?
Seattle.
He liked Seattle too, I'm sure. So he probably didn't really care. It's not like, oh man, I went to some bum team. Like he's probably kind of excited and probably wants to play for us. Mm-hmm. So and he's not going to take a bunch of money because he's never been a number one guy or nothing. So yeah, it'd save us some money. I think Vance's hands were always ass. They were when he was with the Niners, and it got a lot better since then. He was horrible with the Niners. And he's going to want more money than Vannett, and I don't necessarily think he's significantly better than Vannett. So, yeah, I agree. Yeah. I would think that.
The only thing Vance can surely do with his hands is stiff arm Buccaneer players into another century. That's about it.
Looks like you're going to the shadow realm, Jim. All right. So, do you think there's going to be any particular breakout player, if any, on offense this year? So not someone who's necessarily already broke out like Connor kind of did, taking over for Bell and Juju. Even though they had off years, it's not necessarily breaking out if they come back to being good again. Do you think anyone that would jump off the page that like hasn't done anything yet? Do you have anyone in mind for that?
So last year, my breakout and comeback player of the year was James Washington. Had a complete shit year his first year. And last year was actually like a true number 2, number 3 receiver. So with how young our receivers are, I would like to see the rookie Deontay Johnson try and take that next step forward, because he said last year at the end of the year he definitely felt the extended games compared to what college has. So he was kind of tired at the end of the year. I'd like to see him get a little bit more healthy and kind of add some muscle this offseason, see what all he has capable, because he is fast and he can catch.
Yeah, I think he even debatably somewhat broke out already for what he had going on. But I wouldn't say like he was significant enough to warrant a breakout. So I agree. I could definitely see him with Ben and everything, and how we have diverse weapons. And I could see him being like not insane, but like he could like squeeze his way to like maybe a top 25 receiver sneaky stat wise. Just because if Ben balls out and with what we got going on, I could see that. But my player that I had in mind was actually Benny Snell, however you say it. I think that since James Conner gets hurt a lot, and the way he runs, he just tries to run through. He doesn't make you miss. I mean, he has the ability to every once in a while, but if he has a decision, he's just going to run over you. And not that that's a bad thing. I actually really like that about him. But I think Benny is similar, and I think that they just need to get that tighter and tighter and calibrate that to like a 50-50, because if you have two people that are willing to run through you every damn play and they're well rested, like alternating plays even, maybe not that because it would be a little confusing on who's coming in and out, but whatever. get that close to even a 60-40 split, the defenses are going to get damn tired of tackling them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think he has a very good chance because if the Steelers' offense is humming and we're doing that, I think he could do just as well as Connor. I like Connor a lot. I mean, I have his jersey, but yeah, I would say him. I could see him snagging some touchdowns and ascending to being on par with Connor, and that would be pretty lit. I'd like that. So
Yeah,
that's
I
my pick.
mean, yeah, I'm right there with you. I absolutely love Benny Snell. I loved him in college at Kentucky. Loved him coming out of college. Was super happy that we drafted him. The two of them together could be a Jerome Bettis. Pretty much, they both not nearly as big, but both can just constantly run through people every single snap, and which was what the bus did. So, if they do get split time, which I really think they should, I feel like Benny has a little bit of better hands than Connor, even though he is younger. He can definitely catch out of the backfield. Not that Connor can't catch, but yeah, I would love to see them split some time this year.
I think another thing about it that I forgot to mention was that Tomlin likes him a lot. I remember seeing videos, and he would always get so hyped when he would do like anything at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that he's gonna have more time, regardless of how good Connor does. Like even if Connor's like back to his ways whenever he took over for Bell, like I don't see them like not using Benny Snell. They like him too much. I think he
Yeah.
has a good chance of doing some work, and obviously he'll do better than his first year. I'd say it would only make sense if he would. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's my pick. All right, so TJ Watt, Minka, just big name guys, obviously on our defense. Do you think they can be even better, or like, do you think they're like already at the ceiling? Do you think? What do you think about them?
No, they're definitely going to get even better. Minka's going to have a whole other offseason to learn the ropes even more with the Steelers, get another year under his belt with the Steelers. TJ Watt, he can only get better as well, especially with Tuitt coming back. That whole defensive line is just going to be a freaking disaster for every single team that we play this year, which is going to take some of the pressure off of Watt to get out and do what he can do. And whenever you have a good pass rush, you obviously have a good secondary based off of that. So Minka's going to just kind of become like a Troy Polamalu this year. So it's going to
Yeah,
be very fun to watch.
like on the Pat McAfee show, whenever he finally got an answer from Troy Polamalu
Yeah,
about him lining the C gap, Minka's gonna just have that feeling.
yeah, he's
Who
going to
was
talk to Jesus.
yeah, who was saying that all the time? Who was that?
Ike Taylor.
Oh, that was like Taylor. Yeah, that's gonna be Minka. He's just getting a little word from the guy on the side there. But
Yeah,
did you see about TJ and JJ Watt fighting on Twitter? Well, not
yeah,
fighting, but just busting each other's balls. It was pretty funny.
a little bit of jargon over there. It was pretty awesome.
I like how TJ just kind of like takes it like to be funny, and he's like, I'll just go back to the gym." Which yeah, I love that. Who doesn't love the Watts? Even if we were Dolphins fans, like you still gotta love those guys.
Yeah, some of the
All
best
right,
guys in the NFL for sure.
all right. Well, the Steelers have led the league in sacks since 2017, and then 2016, I think we were ninth. Do you think that we lead the league in sacks again for 3 years in a row?
Yeah, why not? Bud Dupree talks about him getting the franchise tag, so he'll be back. Stephon Tuitt's going to come back healthy. Cam Hayward is Cam Hayward. You can't say enough good things about that guy. And then, of course, TJ Watt is only going to get better, seeing how young he is. So if Dupree can play as good as he did last year, not like he did the prior years, yeah, we're definitely going to lead the league in sacks again, in my opinion.
We have as good chances a lot of the defensive lines that are good. Like I think it's impressive how we did it 2 years in a row. Just because
Mm-hmm.
here I'll look at it real quick, but just off the top of my head, 2 years ago, the Jaguars were second right behind us, and I would have to scroll to find them the next year. Like it's not easy to do, and we're
That's
always up
because the
there.
Jaguars invested every single dollar they had in their defense.
Oh yeah, they took a linebacker last draft,
Mm-hmm.
whoever it was. Yeah, and they might again take someone in defense in the first round. They love it. They're like the Steelers in that aspect. It's always a linebacker or a defensive back every year.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah. So in 2017, let me go to that real quick. I'm just curious to see. Yeah, Jacksonville was right behind us. We led with 56. They had 55, and then let's see here. My computer's being a little slow. All right. Yeah, And then we tied with the Chiefs with 52, and the Jaguars are not even in the top 10. So that's impressive. But yeah, I think we could do it again. I think we just have that winning culture and just getting to the quarterbacks like a focal point. And the Steelers are just always good, always.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the Jaguars. I'll give you one guess. Where did they finish in sacks? Like within the 32 teams.
Are we
They're
talking
actually
about
in
this year, last year?
this year.
This year. I'm going to say 18.
22.
Nice.
Wow, that is something. But yeah, I think they're gonna do it again, even without Hargrave. I mean, out of everybody on our defensive line, he's the least valuable in my opinion as far as like getting the sack numbers because defensive tackles just suck up blockers. That's mostly all they do, unless you have
Yeah.
insanity at defensive tackle. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
Fletcher
he's not on the field all the time, maybe like 30% of the time. So, I mean, he's not like an every down impact player. But I mean, when he is on the field, he certainly, he's on the field. But yeah, I see what you're saying. He's definitely not the most impactful out of the three defensive linemen that we do have. But it is really I'm going to miss him a lot when he leaves.
Yeah. All right. And that's all I have for questions. So you can take it away with what you want to talk about.
Yeah, so earlier at the Combine this year, Colbert said that James Conner, this is his make or break season. This is like the last year of his deal before he has to get a renewed contract or free agent testing. So do you think that he's going to make it or break it? What are your thoughts on that?
Love James Conner, so I'm going to be biased. I think he's going to be fine. He's just got hurt and the offense is banged up. I really don't blame any of last year on him. But I get Colbert saying that because he's going to want money. And if Snell does good, then why would we pay him high money? But I don't think James Conner necessarily is going to ask for a bunch of money. Unless he's like a top 5 running back this year and just like smashes. I don't see him asking for stupid money because like he seems like a pretty level-headed person. So like you were hurt and you didn't do that great, and then you did okay this year and stayed healthy, so blah blah blah. So we'll pay you like middle of the road. I would see him being fine with that. So I think make it as far as he will stay on the team after this year.
Yeah, I'm pretty much right there with you. He has had some injuries, and that's really held him back here for a little bit. But when he is healthy, he is one of the top running backs in the league. Top, like I want to say, top 8, top 10 wise. So with Big Ben coming back to help open up the passing game to where it's not just relying on the run, as long as he stays healthy, he'll definitely make it this year. And like you said, with him possibly taking less money to stay with the Steelers, I definitely could see him doing that. He's a Pittsburgh kid, been in Pittsburgh all of his life. So Pittsburgh's an awesome city. If I lived there all my life, I wouldn't really want to leave either.
Yeah, and I don't think the Steelers are out to like screw him on money either. Like they're gonna give him something that's fair. Like it's not like, oh, you want paid by. Like if he just works with a decent contract and takes something fair, I don't see why he would go, depending on how good he does this year. And I think he'll stay healthier because, like I said, I think Benny's going to get more carries, and that should help him out at staying healthy and bring his stats up. But if he cuts into his work, I think that will also be part of the negotiation. Like, hey, we have you like on a split now. So like, what do you value more, testing free agency to get to be like a number 1 running back in a league where a lot of teams seem to have their number 1 back at this point in any team worth being on. So would you like to get paid fairly to be a split number 1 back with Benny, or go somewhere else and probably be on a bad team and not get paid that significantly more? So I hope he stays. I like him. Good or bad, I've always liked Connor. He has too good of a story and everything.
Absolutely. I think the main reason Colbert even said this was just to try and like motivate Connor to bust his ass this year, trying to get him to be that true number 1 back. So I think that's the main reason he said that. I truly don't think Connor will be going anywhere unless Connor wants to go somewhere, which I honestly don't see happening either.
Yeah, unless we're like super like we just don't even want you, but I don't see that.
Yeah. And then finally getting to the mock draft that I did. So Steelers have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have 6 picks this year. A second round, a third round from the Jets, 2 fourth rounds, and then a 6th and a 7th. So no 5th round. So first round, we have Minkah Fitzpatrick. What are your thoughts on him?
Wait, say that again.
First round pick, we have Minkah Fitzpatrick. What are your thoughts?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh,
It's kind of a reach there, but yeah, moving on to second round. So the Steelers' biggest need right now on every single draft board is edge, which is your outside linebackers, and that's just because Bud Dupree is not like set to be a Steeler this year. But with Colbert saying that he is getting that tag, or Dupree's definitely coming back. So I don't even have the Steelers taking an edge this year. So for my first pick in the second round, their second need is offensive tackle. I have them taking Austin Jackson, who's a huge offensive tackle out of USC. Could definitely help strengthen that offensive line, possibly keep some guys healthy like Connor and Ben. So that's my first second round pick.
yeah, I would love another lineman. Our line's getting old and whatever, so yeah, get a big guy in there. And
Yeah,
I think a big line would be fine with the running backs we got going on. And Ben's tall and
absolutely.
big, strong, so go ahead, put some meat in there.
Absolutely. Uh, third round pick, compensatory pick from the Jets because of Le'Veon Bell. I have Jalen Hurts. Absolutely love the guy. Loved him at Alabama. Loved him at Oklahoma. Um, I don't have enough good things to say about the guy. His work ethic is off the charts. He, I don't want to say he's a dual threat quarterback. He can definitely run if he needs to, but he has a phenomenal arm. I really think that he could be the heir to Ben if we were to draft him, which I honestly don't think we are, but I'm hoping we do. That's just like my my hope right there for the third.
Assuming assuming he's even still there.
If he's
I
still there,
know
yeah.
if there's any quarterbacks that are ranked by the experts that are ahead of him, would you still take him? Like, if say you're calling the shots, would you take anyone above it? Is it Jordan Love? Is it Jordan Love?
Jordan Love, yeah. So there's
So, for example,
this
if
is
he was
actually
still there, would you take him over Jalen?
no, I would take Jalen. So this is actually a pretty stacked draft class for quarterbacks. I believe out of I want to say 15 quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts is ranked I want to say sixth or seventh. So there's plenty of guys before him, and I kind of like that. That's sort of like the Mason Rudolph story there. Maybe the Steelers grade him as a first round pick, but I I don't think that he'll fall to the third round. If he does and we're around, I would definitely scoop him up because it would definitely be worth it in my opinion. So for my first fourth round pick, I have us taking a tight end out of Missouri. I can't pronounce his last name. It's pretty freaking weird. First name Albert, last name Aqugbunum. I think something like that. Pretty long. But he's a tight end from Missouri. Very good blocker. Can actually catch pretty decently. Had a couple touchdowns last season. Big, tall guy. Can really do some good blocking there, which we would need with Vance McDonald leaving if he does leave. But yeah, solid guy. Even though he's a fourth round pick, could definitely make an impact his first year.
Yeah, sounds good. When you get that
Yeah,
late in the picks, it's coin
pretty much just
tosses.
buffing. Yeah. Second, fourth round pick. This wide receiver class is crazy. You got so many wide receivers in this class, and all could definitely be like second or third guys on teams when you go into later rounds. This guy I have Gabriel David, wide receiver out of UCF. He's 6'3". I want to say like 218. They ran a pretty good 40. UCF, smaller school. Yeah, they claim they're not, but they are. It is what it is. But Steelers don't really like taking seniors for whatever reason, and like they're underclassmen. There was two wide receivers I had available at the time of him. Both were seniors, so if they were to take a wide receiver around that time, I think it would be Gabriel.
Yeah. We have a bunch of young wide receivers, so I don't know if they'll necessarily take one, but it's definitely possible. The Steelers like drafting them. We
Mm-hmm.
tend to draft one almost every draft.
Yep. This next guy for the sixth, he's like a Jalen Samuels 2.0. Antonio Gibson, running back out of Memphis, runs harder than Jalen and can catch better than Jalen. A little bit more explosive speed to him. So with this kind of tight running back room that we have for the number 1 and 2, I love Jalen Samuels, but if Antonio Gibson's around, I would replace him in a heartbeat.
Yeah, that and you got to think about when it's time to pay Jalen Samuels, assuming that we have to pay him soon. Why would we? You know what I mean? We have
Exactly.
running backs. We don't need them. And he might want decent money because he has done good with the touches he's had.
Mm-hmm.
So just let him go. I
Yep.
agree. Take another running back in advance and when it's time for him to go by.
Yep, absolutely. Then my last pick. So I've been kind of feeling the Steelers, one of the top needs with Hargraves going is an interior defensive lineman, so like a defensive tackle. in all of my other mocks, I have a defensive tackle being taken in the first, or I'm sorry, the second and third round, but I've waited all the way until the seventh for this. So I have Robert Landers out of Ohio State. Big guy, big boy. He can definitely like eat some blocks if you need him to. So that he's sort of like that position there, which will definitely help for Tuitt and Hayward to get to the quarterback. So doubt he'll make the team first year. Probably end up on the practice squad if we were to land him. But later on, with some development with our defensive coordinator and defensive tackle coach, could definitely see some snaps in the second, third year moving forward.
I think when it comes to the Steelers, since they can make players break out, especially on defense, just take someone that's just a freak. Like if he's a big guy, like if anyone's going to make him relevant for being a seventh round pick, it's going to be the Steelers. Like they're one of the couple teams that could make someone relevant out of that. So yeah, sure, take another big guy.
Yeah, and that's all I have. I mean, shit, anything could happen. Some injuries could come up here when players do their pro days. Who knows what's going to happen? But I like this mock draft a lot. I did 3 or 4, and this one was probably my favorite. So that's what I'm sticking to.
Sounds like a plan.
Well, we're at 26 minutes. Was there anything else you wanted to go over with?
Just for a random, unrelated top. Well, I mean, it's related, but not Steeler oriented. As far as the quarterbacks go, how would you rank them based off of how you like them, not what the elites think?
Oh, geez, I can't type on my computer right now. So going off of memory, Joe Burrow, definitely number 1. He's actually made some shots for the Bengals. He said if he's going to the Bengals, he wants AJ Green to be there too. So kind of already making some shots without even throwing it down on the first football. So
wouldn't want AJ Green.
Yeah. So yeah, that's definitely my number 1. Number 2 is Tua. Most likely going to end up with the Dolphins, which isn't a bad thing with the amount of picks and the coach that they have there. So maybe it'll actually be something at the Dolphins. Who knows? There was a lot of talk with Justin Herbert last year and the beginning of this year, but with Justin Herbert, I don't think he'll be the guy in this league.
He's projected to go to the Chargers, I believe.
He is, wow.
The next Phillip Rivers, I believe.
I don't see it. I think if a team were to take him, he would need to definitely sit a year, get some wisdom from a starting quarterback.
No one to start over him, I don't think. Who's their backup? Well, who's their current starter?
If I were the Chargers in that situation, I would take Jordan Love then, not Justin Herbert. Jordan Love, I feel like, will do a little bit better than Herbert. Like if it comes to starting week 1, like I would take Love over Herbert. Herbert, I could see if the Bucks don't take Phillip Rivers, I could see him going to the Bucks, getting a year under Winston, seeing how to not throw interceptions, and possibly being the heir to Winston, because I don't think Winston will last too much longer in the Bucks. But yeah, I could see Herbert possibly doing something down there. They have some amazing weapons on their end, so yeah. And then the last quarter, I think I said 4. So my 5th quarterback before I get to Jalen Hurts, I would say Jake Fromm out of Georgia.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about him. I can't remember where he was projected to go.
I think he's right above, or right, however you want to say it, the one before Jalen. I've seen Jake Fromm play every single year that he's been with Georgia because I'm a Gator fan and they play each other once a year, sometimes twice a year. He's ripped everything up in the Gators and they actually have a very good secondary year in and year out. So he's not going to be a guy that's mobile at all, but he can definitely throw the ball. Teams that need him, I would actually like to see him go to the Chargers too, rather than Justin Herbert. But maybe Carolina if they don't bring Cam Newton back. I don't know.
I think they said already that Cam Newton's coming back.
Oh, they are? Gotcha.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but those are my 5. So, I forgot already. So, Joe Burrow, Tua, Jordan Love. I just said his name. Oh, Jake Fromm. I'm going to go Jalen Hurts and then Justin Herbert. So those are my top 6.
So you have Herbert going way down then, because I think the experts have him at like 3. So you have him being borderline bust. Yeah.
Yeah, not necessarily a bust, just definitely needs some time before he gets thrown in.
And when's the last time quarterbacks went straight off of what the experts say? That never happens. Like
Exactly.
Baker being first overall over Sam Darnold to the
Hmm.
Browns. You know what I mean? Like everybody that thought they were not going to take Barkley would have assumed Sam Darnold just about. Like there wasn't very many Baker predictions. And then the Giants come in with oh Danny Dimes. Like
Danny
quarterbacks are
Dimes.
always funky. Like they never
Hmm.
go off of what the experts say. So yeah, I could definitely see some quarterback just like dropping way down. Yep.
Yeah, and if one's available in the third or fourth round, that's not going to be absolute trash. Like, not going to be just a practice squad guy. Definitely would take him. Like, Ducky Hodges, love the man, but think we could do better as a third string than him
Yeah.
with this draft in particular.
Assuming we would take him, do we just straight up cut Duck, or do we try and trade him? And what would you expect to get return from him if we would just trade him?
If we were to trade him, I don't think we would have very many offers. It'd probably be for like a sixth or seventh round for like two
Yeah.
years from now. So maybe he'd be on practice squad for another year because I think he still has some eligibility. Yeah, he has another year or two for practice squad. Then after that, once he's not eligible anymore, just cutting ways with him.
Worst case scenario, he can always say to his friends that he has the record for most wins as an undrafted rookie.
Yeah, he,
Well, not most wins, but most largest win streak like starting was isn't it or something.
mhm.
He has some weird record like that. So
Yeah,
hey, he got that. Because like that's like he's almost like mortal, like as far as professional athletes go. Like he's someone that can like be out of the NFL and just be like, yeah, I did this. Like me saying it. You know what I mean? So that's
yep.
cool. Good for him.
He'll, he'll
Worst
just
case
go
scenario.
duck hunting, probably end up on like some outdoor TV show, something like that. So yeah.
One last unrelated topic that just popped into my brain, talking like mortal. What was that kicker's name that we had whenever Boswell was doing really bad? He was like barely squeezing 40 yarders. But I think he's on the Guardians, maybe the Guardians for the XFL, and he was nailing 50s. He
Yeah,
was
that man
easy.
yeah, that man was like he needs some Wheaties in his system. He like 40 was a struggle, like barely over the post, and now he's like on steroids or something. So yeah,
I can't think of what the hell his name is.
I can't either. It's
You
like
know,
on the tip of my tongue. Mhm.
yeah,
Absolutely, that really, really, really skinny small guy. Yeah.
yeah. So good for him. He's doing good. If he kicks like that, the entire contract he has with XFL, say it's 3 years, the team's gonna
Mhm.
pick him up. Like if you're making
Yeah.
50s look easy, like a
Yeah.
team's gonna take you. So we could see him back in no time. So
Mhm.
good for him.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, I think that's everything that we've got today, guys. Again, thank you so much for watching. This is Austin and Johnny's with YinzersView. Hope you guys have a great rest of your evening.